Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Steve Murray here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about Roth Conversions today and some of the opportunity around the Roth Conversion format. And our guest speaker today will be Dave Pemper. Dave is the president of Lazarus Coaching. He also does most of his coaching, I would say, probably exclusively now coaches with with our producers here at IAM. So great to have him aboard with us. Great resource for us and our producers. This is going to be a relatively quick webinar, and I'm going to need your help to keep the pace moving along. We'll have a couple polls that will come up. If you can answer yes or no to those polls, that would be much appreciated. You're not making any commitment ever when you answer a poll. You're just simply letting us know you have some interest. Also, if you have questions during the event, which this particular webinar does seem to generate more questions than some, go ahead and type them in, hit send, and we'll get as many of them as we can get answered here towards the end of the webinar. So with that, let us go ahead and get started. So a couple things I wanted to mention to you. Again, some of the benefits of doing business with IAMS. If I can get my screen to move here. There we go. Wanted to make sure you're aware of some things that we do here for the folks. I know we've got a pretty good group of folks that are new to us on here today, which is great. So there are a couple programs that you all need to be aware of. Many of you already are, and take advantage of them. So first would be our referred producer program. Really simple program. When you refer someone and they get appointed with us, send you a check for $50. That's just a thank you for your referral. Thank you very much, by the way, for all your referrals to this point. But we also reward you on an ongoing basis, and we reward you at the rate of about 20 basis points on the business that they do. It depends on the business. Life is a little bit higher, obviously. That's kind of the annuity payout. And so we send checks out quarterly on those to all of our folks that have referred to us. And right now, those are some of the largest checks that we send. In fact, some of them now go out monthly. Any check that's over 1,000 that's due, we'll actually send that out on a monthly basis. So good little program. You can see the example there. If you refer somebody to us and they happen to do $1 million annuity premium, then we're going to send you a check for a couple grand during the course of the year. If you refer 3 producers like that, then you're going to get $6,000, and that's for you to use any way you want. And again, that's not money out of their pocket. That comes out of our marketing and advertising budget. Best place that we can spend our advertising budget is on our producers, and so that's our preference. So please, if you know a colleague that you think might be a good fit in terms of the products or training or incentives or the service that we provide here at IAMS, I hope you'll give us their name. We'd love to work with them. Marketing reimbursement, again, a simple program. When you do business, money goes in your marketing reimbursement program or marketing reimbursement account. Chris Vermel here handles that. If you have a question on it, call or email chris@imsinc.com, or just ask for Chris R. When you call in, and he'll be glad to tell you where you are, or shoot your sales director an email. They can give you a balance on your marketing reimbursement account. It's just a way to help us help you market your business, and we know that's money well spent. Again, we've got a number of new producers aboard with us, so I'm just going to run through real quickly. You can see before you on the screen, there's 3 levels that you can activate your new producer bonus at. And what I always like to say, you can read as well as I can, so I don't need to go over the different levels and what you can get. But if you come to me and say, hey, I see this is about what we do at the level, at the 100,000 point level, the 300,000 point level, the 500,000 point level, and I'd like to do something a little bit different. With that, I'm glad to kind of tailor something for you, or your sales director would be glad to work with you on tailoring something that's fit for you. So there's a lot of different ways that you can spend that money for us. That it's a little bit of a loss leader up front, but we know that, we feel like we know that when you get doing business with IAMS, you'll notice the difference. You'll notice the value of getting your call answered by a live body really quickly. You'll notice the difference of the service that you get when you do your business with IAMS, how important we see that process of getting from submission to commission and the level of communication. We think you'll value all that enough. We feel like we've got most of the products that you need. We've got great training opportunities, whether it's a webinar or life and annuity academies. We've got great incentives. We try and reward you not just with things like the new producer bonus, but also our conventions and producer meetings and things like that. So we know that once we get working together, that we think that you'll value that relationship enough. So we want to encourage that first piece or two of business, and that's how we do a new producer bonus. So take advantage of that. Back office support, I just touched on that briefly, and I don't want to take a lot of time because we've got a great subject matter, and I want to get you all in and out of here, this webinar, with important information as quickly as possible. But we do have great back office support. Once you do business with us, I just came back from a quick meeting that we had, an incentive trip that we did, where we had 30 producers that qualified for just over a short period of time. And I said, hey, what is it that IAMS can do for you better? And I'm thinking I'm going to hear, well, you need to do this or that better. And the only question I got was, how can we say thank you in a tangible way to your staff? And I was proud of that. I mean, that says a lot about the value that our producers see in that submission to commission process. And I know it's very good. I feel it. I know when I'm talking to my producers out in the field and they're out running and gunning and trying to do what they do best, and they know that, hey, they're getting regular conversation and feedback from our team on what's going on with their business, no matter what company it's with. They value that highly, and that's a service that we're going to maintain. Just as we're never going to do a voicemail system here, you're always going to talk to a live body. So these are important to us because we know they're important to our producers. I want you to take advantage of our creative team. We got great people over there that know your business because they work with people like you all day long, so they can help you with all of the things that you might look at and say, hey, I want to do a website, or I want to, do some Facebook advertising, or hey, what can I do, from some pre-printed things that I could just logo up and send out to my clients on a regular basis to keep my name and picture in front of them. We got some great things out there, and the creative team is really, really good at that. So if you are looking to increase what you're doing on the advertising side of your business to try and build more recognition, give our creative services team a call and let them help you. We're going to do all that at cost or less to you. We do a lot of it gratis because we know that when you get successful, we're going to be successful. And we know one of the quickest ways to that is to help you establish yourself in your area as kind of a brand, as somebody that people can count on. So we're going to help you with that. If you haven't looked at the website, I encourage you to do so. And the best thing I can say there is give your annuity sales director or your life sales director a call and say, hey, show me on the website, these are the things that are important to me. Where can I find that? Or, hey, show me what other folks use regularly from your website. We've got some great support and great tools out there. There's almost nothing you can't quote. There's a great annuity sales engine out there that you can go in and kind of do a product evaluation, look at everything out there and find just the right product for your client. And that's a great thing to walk through with your sales director. So take advantage of the website. I know it's kind of trite. You always hear about websites and how much they can help your business. We've tried to make ours very accessible and very, very valuable and user-friendly for our producers. And I think if you look close, you'll see that we've done a pretty good job about that. I want to make sure you're all familiar with the Retirement Analyzer program. It's a very simple program. It's kind of a help your client find out where they are on their retirement journeys. You can kind of see from the graphic, it is a very graphic software tool that can help you with your client. It kind of moves you from someone that is working with them on finding the right spot for some spare money they have laying around to somebody who can help them make sure that they're on the right track to get to where they want to be for their retirement. Or sometimes you got to say, look, what you're looking for in your retirement, what you're going to get based on what you're doing right now, it's going to be an uphill battle, and kind of prepare them for that. But it makes you more of an advisor than just a transactional resource for your clients, which, as you all know, that's a good thing. If you have some interest in that, I want you to call Marcus at our office. We pay for it right now. We're going to take care of it for our producers. And if you want to try it out, you're just getting started with us and haven't written any business, but you still want to try out this program, give Marcus Soller a call. He'll get you out a user interface so you can go ahead and look at it, spend some time with it, maybe run one on yourself to see how it works and see if you think it might be valuable. If you think it might be something that's a great fit, and we'll take care of the cost of it, and you can start using it with your clients. We've got some guys that swear by it. We've had some other folks that have tried it, and boy, to say, hey, this is much more information than I want to make available or want to have to input, because it is like anything. The better the information you put in, the more valuable it's going to be. So there's some time involved in it, and maybe it's not for you with every one of your clients, but you might find that there's some of your closest clients that it's a great fit for. So take advantage of that if you have not already. If you have interest, and I'm going to shorten this up. So here's the situation. IAMS Wealth is an RIA, and if you are an RIA and maybe not, or you're an IAR not happy with your current RIA, I would encourage you to give IAMS Wealth a call. Depending on why you're not happy, I think that you might find them to be a very good fit. We've seen some pretty fast growth over there, and really, if I'm going to say why that is, I'm going to say it's probably service related. In other words, the processes and things that we've done on the life side and on the annuity side and on the MedSup side have kind of carried over to IAMS Wealth, and most folks are not used to getting that from their RIA. They're used to more of an administrative pipeline for them as opposed to actually assistance and help along the way. So we've got a very interactive and very dedicated staff over there that all they know is the service standards that we've got set over on the annuity and life and MedSup side, and so that's kind of what they live and breathe. And a lot of guys that are been IRs through other RIAs are not used to that. So if you're looking for an increased level of assistance and service, there'd be a great fit for you. If you're thinking about getting your Series 65 kind of preparation for the regulatory environment that is the way it's shaping up again, then they're a good fit for that. Almost all of our growth there has been organic. So we've taken a lot of folks from the just getting having interest in getting to 65 all the way through that process. So we can get you a discount on the educational materials. We can help you along the way. We can give you some feedback as the best way to go about it and help you get that 65. And then as you convert to, hey, I'm used to talking about insurance products, help me, in the converting some of that business to managed assets. We're pretty good at that because we've been doing a lot of that with our guys. Most of our biggest producers have come from the insurance side of our business. So if that's of interest to you. On the other hand, if you're already an IAR with another RA and you're unhappy with maybe fees that are too high or unhappy with payouts that are too low, or maybe unhappy with the processes and what you get for your fees, then I would encourage you again to hit yes on that poll, and Charles or Mike will give you a call, walk you through what we do, walk you through the fee setup, walk you through what you get from us for the fees, including E&O and website and database. And I think you'd be pleased with what you get from a value standpoint for the fees that you pay. And then I think you'd be especially pleased with the payouts. They do a really good job on that, and we passed a lot of the payouts on through to the guy in the field. So I'm going to close that poll down. It looks like almost all of you have voted. Thank you for that. If you have interest and for some reason weren't able to vote, just give me a call or give your annuity sales director a call, and they can give you the basics on it, and then we'll kind of walk you through and make sure that it's a good fit and see if that's something that might be of interest to you. So give us a call at the office at 800-255-5055. With that, I'm going to close that poll out. Thank you all, by the way. You're a quick voting group, and I appreciate you doing that. Keep on moving here. We do life and annuity academies. They're really 3-day trainings and bring you on a Wednesday, get you back out to your office on a Friday. Pretty go. We're either training or chatting with each other all the time, pretty much from sun up to sundown there. So it's a great opportunity for you to come in and kind of get yourself immersed a little bit in some of the sales and marketing opportunities that are out there for you. You can read there some of the things that we talk about. It really goes deeper than that. The top producers that are there, big deal. It's great to out. Oops, hit a wrong button there. It's no doubt great to spend some time with people that do what you do and learn a little bit more about what's affecting them and what they're doing in their business to make things better, and get in front of more prospects and be more efficient in the way they do business. And then hearing from 4 top producers is really a nice benefit that will help you for sure grow your business. And then we talk about products some. It's not a major part of it. In fact, I would say usually what I do here is that when I talk to the folks as they're leaving is that, hey, part of what we do at these academies is more sales and marketing and less product, and shoot, I'd like more product stuff. We can do a lot of that over the phone. We can spend some time with you one-on-one on that. We know when you get together, if we can get you in front of more prospects and show you some great sales ideas and show you some great marketing opportunities, we feel like that's really that's the where we start, and then product stuff we can help you with. So we don't do a lot of product there. We do a lot of relationship building. We do a lot of conversations. I always encourage people when they come to bring their business cards and be ready to share. So let's see if I can get these polls to work for us. There we go. And if I'm going to ask you all to vote really quickly here because I'm already running a little bit late. I want to get to our deal. So if you're not interested in coming to one of our academies, maybe you've been recently, just hit no real quick on that. If you'd like to hear more about the academies, we'll send you an email out. So if you put yes on this, we'll send you an email. And the email will be two pieces. It'll be a sample agenda and it'll be a registration form. Look at the sample agenda. That'll give you a little bit more of kind of an hour by hour what goes on at the academy. And then if that's something you have some interest in, then just send in that registration form. And then as the academies come up, we will give you a call and see if it fits in for your schedule. We're going to take care of your expenses, by the way. So whether you're flying or driving, we're going to take care of that expense. We'll take care of your hotel expenses and your meals while you're there. So we do it cooperatively with carriers. One coming up here very shortly, which is now closed, is going to be in Des Moines, Iowa. We'll have another one probably, if we don't have one in late summer, we'll have one in very early fall, the first part of September. So if you have interest in joining us for an academy this year or early next year, simply hit yes on that. We'll send you out the form to register. We'll send you out a sample agenda. If it's a great fit, let me know. Again, you've all been very quick to vote, and so I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out as well. I'll make sure I did that right. Yeah, okay, good. So I'm going to take that poll. I'm going to close it out, and let's get moving along here. Qualification still ongoing for the Ritz-Carlton event, and many of you, I'm just looking at our attendees, and I see about 5 or 6 of you that have already qualified. There are probably about 7 or 8 of you that I think likely will qualify. We got till the end of June to qualify for that. For those of you that may not be familiar, we do a convention type of format where we bring you and your guest in, and we do that on about an every 18-month basis. This next one upcoming is going to be the Ritz-Carlton. We try and go to nice places because we know that your spouse or whoever your guest is, probably someone that's helping you, so we want to make sure that they get treated to really first-class amenities and first-class treatment while they're there. We want you to have a chance to share ideas and meet some of your fellow top producers. We think that's important. And, of course, we want a chance to say thank you for your business. So for those of you that are well on your way to qualifying, congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing you there. For those of you that maybe have a ways to go, if you want to give us a call and let us know how we can help you, we'd certainly love to do that as well. So let us know how we can help you get to the Ritz or one of our other trips. So next up, we have Dave Pimper. Dave is going to talk about Roth Conversions. Dave, are you with us?
I am. How are you doing, Steve?
Very well. You were very quiet. You must have had me muted. I didn't hear nary a sound from you, so I was worried.
The only way to keep me quiet is to mute it.
Well, thank you for doing that. You could tell that I probably spoke too long here, so I'm going to turn it right over to you and let people hear a little bit about Roth Conversions, then we'll finish up here in just a little bit. So without any delay, here's Mr. Dave Pimper, President of Lazarus Coaching. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, good. You bet. Thanks, Steve. Hey, I appreciate everybody on the phone. Big attendance today talking about Roth Conversions. My name is Dave Pimper. I'm a producer, just like you are. I've been a producer, started in 1981, so I've done this for a long, long time. I've got several kind of expertises. One is retirement planning in general. I work with pre-retired and retired folks is my mainstay, is my wheelhouse. I know a lot about Social Security, so I'm not any kind of a Medicare expert, a MedSup expert, or Medicaid, but I certainly do understand and give a lot of workshops. Actually, I'm doing a workshop tonight. I'm doing a workshop tomorrow night at 2 different libraries in Omaha on Social Security claiming. They've been very, very good to me in a grouping who I coach on that. And then something that's outside of the insurance side, but 1031 real estate exchanges. In our business, they're called DSTs, Delaware Statutory Trust. They're not TICs. And what happens is that we go in and help people exchange appreciated property that they're not paying taxes on, but deriving an income from that. So those are kind of my expertise. Today we're going to talk about Roth conversions. which in my 401k IRA rollover workshop, I put that together. It does have a FINRA review letter on it if your securities 66 or 65, 66, 6 or 7. If not, then it certainly is reviewed for insurance. But we do cover a lot about Roths and Roth conversions within that seminar itself. People are hungry for education. In the old days, you could pick a particular product, a strategy, talk about it in seminar marketing. I've done almost 500 public seminars since the mid 80s. That isn't the way to go now. Now you normally pick kind of a subjective subject like Roth conversions. It isn't anything to do about a specific, fixed indexed annuity or mutual fund, and you educate them on that, and they view you as the educator, and then hopefully they sign up for an appointment. So we're going to talk about Roth conversions. The information that I'm going to give, I think that is, I don't think it's Roth 101, but it might be Roth 102, Roth conversions 102. So if you're very well versed in Roth conversions, I still think you're going to pick something up in today's webinar, but it certainly is for someone who maybe doesn't do a lot of conversions. We do our fair of conversions each year, and there's certainly some ins and outs. It's pretty realistic. There's a lot of rules around this. So if you've got a question, certainly bring those up, and I'll be more than happy to go in and answer those for you. So Steve, I don't know if you're still there or not, but if not, then I'm just going to take it and we'll go forward with it. Don't know.
The floor is yours.
Well, I'm trying to get this forward here. And everyone on the line, I'm much better at sales process and coaching than I am at technology. For some reason, I can't have it go forward. There we go. I want to see if I can do it now on each one. Did you do that, Steve, or did I do that?
I think you did it. Try it again.
Okay, stick on for a sec. Yeah, so let's just talk about tax-free Roth conversions. Remember, Roths are tax-free versus a traditional IRA. So on traditional, you put in $6,000, it's going to be deductible, it's going to grow tax deferred, and it's taxable when it comes out as ordinary income tax. Tax-free, you get no help going in. As long as you hold it for 5 years, there's a 5-year rule, then the earnings of that is tax-free. So why are tax-free Roth conversions timely? Well, I will say this, is that because of the Tax Cuts and the Jobs Act, which was installed at the beginning of last year, you're seeing probably lower income tax rates than you'll see in quite a while. If you're married, there's a 24,000. Actually, it's 24,000. I think it's 300. It's higher this year, but last year was 24,000 of standard deduction. It's a lot not to pay taxes on. All of those rules, with the exception of the corporate income tax sunset, or they'll end in the year 2025. So we have about 6 years left on that. But if you look at Roth conversions versus, traditional IRAs, we know that pensions are disappearing. So, but people are trying to do is to invest upon themselves in something that doesn't have a big tax consequence. It talks about high-income investors have a chance to save on taxes in retirement. Well, no doubt if you're not paying taxes, you don't get the benefit now. So it's kind of like harvesting a crop. You don't get the benefit on planting the seed, but you do get a tax-free benefit when the crop is harvested. Hopefully that it's much bigger down the road. So, Roth conversions are fairly timely, okay? And again, if you have any questions at all, certainly type them on in. So let's talk kind of some specifics. So there is a tax consequence going from a traditional IRA to a Roth conversion, because it actually, if you have $20,000 that comes out of the traditional, there's $20,000 of taxes. And so let's just say if it's $20,000 and you're paying 30% on a high income tax bracket, yeah, you've got $6,000, and that normally needs to be paid out of your pocket. If you pay it from the investment itself, that has taxation also. So no doubt you're in the hole. There's a cross even of how long the type of return you're going to get, what type of income tax bracket you're on. But what happens is that Roth conversions take traditional money and they turn it into tax-free money down the road. Now, if you're using, say, fixed indexed annuities, I tell you, the nice thing about this is the income stream. First of all, of course, it's predictable. It's contractually guaranteed, and there would be no taxation on that. Well, that's kind of the triple play with income riders, is that you get guaranteed income. And I'm not here to teach product, but I'm just saying guaranteed income, predictable income, sustainable income, and to boot, it is tax-free. Those are 3 or 4 pretty good points to make to your client. So when it talks about at the bottom, should pay conversion tax with non-IRA money if possible, so you don't have the extra taxation that comes on up. So let's talk more about Roth conversions. There is the 5-year rule. Now what's very interesting is that it actually is always going to be less than 5 years unless you convert on January 1 of the year of conversion. So let's just say that you converted last year, 2018, on January 1. Well, you can go in and you're going to pay taxes on that. On April 15th, your taxes are due. Yeah, and so from January, what it does is it goes on in from when you put it in, and there's 5 years from January 1. But what happens if you put it in January 2? Well, in reality, you always go back to the date you started the Roth conversion. January 2, it always converts back to January 1. Well, now you have 5 years minus 1 day. 4 years, 364 days. What happens if you do it on the last day of the year, the 365th day, 12 months out, December 31st? Your 5-year rule is now a 4-year rule. What happens if you do it on April 15th, the last day that you can take it for the year before, for the tax year? They don't count extensions. Yeah, all of a sudden now it's 3 years, 8.5 months. So that 5-year rule is kind of a misnomer. It's almost always going to be less unless you did it on January 1 of the year that you're going in on. So that's pretty interesting. Most people that I talk to, we do partial conversions. We don't do full conversions. They got 100 grand. They don't want to go in and pay 35,000 all taxable into this year. So we'll go on in and we'll do a conversion on 100 grand. We'll do 10 grand a year for the next 10 years. Might be a little bit more than that if there's gain, yeah. But you know what? We'll convert it. It just takes some time to get the whole thing done, so it doesn't put it in a big enough year. If you're doing a Roth conversion, say of 35,000, and it's getting towards the end, it's in November or December, I always tell people, you know what? Unless you need all of that money in this tax year, say there's 30,000 we want to convert, let's convert 15 grand of it this year, wait a month and a half after the first year, do 15 next year to make sure that taxation sets into your parameters well. So it isn't all going into 1 year. I had an older fellow, he's deceased now, but he started Roth converting in his 80s. Well, most people say, gosh, he was a bank president, very well-respected businessman here in town, did a lot for the community of Fremont, Nebraska that I live in. What happened is that Jim went in and he had children, and he kept on Roth converting. He died at about 88 or 89 years of age, but he Roth converted every year right up until his death. He still was getting money in for being a board of directors of a bank, so he could still Roth convert. And what happens is, because it is taxable income, what happened is that he wanted to have that wealth transfer to his child. They inherited, so they stretched out, inherited the monies, that IRA, and when they have to take RMDs, but the required minimum distributions off of their life expectancy, it's all tax-free. It's all tax-free. It's every time they get a tax-free check on that, they can thank their dad for being smart enough to set up a tax-free wealth transfer, for the children. Pretty cool. Again, any questions whatsoever, just go ahead and certainly type them on in, and we will deal with those when we're done. Recharacterizations, the OOPS rule, done. Nope, used to be able to do it over again, but that has all gone away in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that came out at the beginning of last year. So what do you want to consider before actually doing a Roth conversion? Want to know where your tax brackets are. You know what? If you're always going to be in a very low tax bracket or a no tax bracket, well, tax-free, doesn't help you, does it? So most of my clients aren't in that situation. Almost all of them are making money, but if it would be, come on up. Remember, the standard deduction now is actually a little over 24,000 for this year. It's a lot for a married couple. We don't see nearly as many um, um, tax returns that are itemized. Most take the standard deduction because of how big it is right now. We'll take a kind of look at income, age of the client. Like that client, he didn't care about the break even, the 7-8 years it normally takes to break even from conventional, traditional IRA, because he wanted that wealth transfer for his children, passing on beneficiaries. And remember this, the provisional income for Social Security is your adjusted gross income, not counting Social Security. You add half of your Social Security, you add all of your municipal bond interest, and if that's above the income brackets, then you pay taxes, whether it be single or whether it be joint. Yeah. But well, you know what is not included in that is tax-free Roth distributions. So if you're kind of close to those brackets, then you might want to go in and put more into Roth for income, so it's not jacked. Because if you're just $1 over, all of a sudden, if you're married filing jointly and you get $1 over the bracket, then 50% of that Social Security is taxed. Yeah, 50%. And so what happens is that, and if you're over the next bracket, then it would be that 85% of your Social Security is taxed. So it doesn't, it'll give you an idea. If you're married filing jointly, if you're under $32,000 of provisional income, you pay no taxes. If you're $32,000, you're going to go in and pay on half of all of your Social Security will be taxed. Well, if it's 32,000 or 32,000, yeah. Anything above that, from 32 to 44 is 50%, and over 44 is 85. I just had a person come in. Their adjusted gross income last year was 44,200, and what happened was they wanted to Roth convert, which would have added more. What we're trying to do, and so I had him wait for the next year. We told him he was taking some distributions out on RMDs, and so we worked it out till we got it under 44,000. Yeah, what happened was only half of his Social Security was taxed instead of all. So you can certainly legally manipulate, if it's possible, your income, and remember to not pay taxes on a bigger portion of your Social Security, and it can be done, with Roth money, because Roth Conversions, Roth IRA, the end result is it goes into a Roth IRA that is tax-free, and that's not contributed, it's not included, within the brackets for income. Municipal bond tax-free is, but not Roth tax-free. Okay, so I was waiting for that jump. Yeah. So Roth conversions, I think, if you're not kind of introducing that to your client, I think what happens is that certainly the client views you as more knowledgeable. More of a holistic planner than really a product salesperson. Whenever you go in and look at that, you're going to need to look at the other holdings within the portfolio, and just bringing up Roth conversion. A lot of people don't really understand all the ins and outs. And so when there's interest, when there's discussion, when there's education, it certainly could go on in and create more opportunity to close business. So as we're kind of going and we're getting, a little bit, and I'm going to go through the rest of this pretty darn fast, but, if you ask people where their tax brackets are going, very few people think they're going lower. And if you ask tonight, I have a Social Security workshop tonight, tomorrow night. I'll say, how many people think that in 10 years that income tax rates will be lower? No one will raise their hand. And that's historically has been the case. And so we talked about Social Security, leaving your assets to your heirs, going in and having your tax deferred retirement accounts go down in value, what happens on that is that you'd like to go in and sell when things are low, but that always is not possible. This is a very, very good book if you want to go in and read about Roth and Roth Conversions by Ed Slott. It's the newest edition of the Retirement Savings Time Bomb. He's an expert within the industry. So what's the advantage of Roth IRAs? Tax-free. It goes from taxable to tax-free. Now, when you take it out, it is taxable. So that's not fun. But the end result is if you're paying taxes, the end result of tax-free will certainly trump tax-deferred anytime. There's no age limits as long with the conversion. There is with the Roth. Well, with Roth, there's no age limit, but you have to have working income. But you can Roth convert at any time you want to. When it goes into the Roth, there's no required minimum distributions after 7.5, as there is traditional. So Roths are pretty cool. You know what? See, so if you're 80 and still working, you can put into a Roth IRA. You can't put into a traditional IRA that you're taking required minimum distributions out. So when you're prospecting, who's a good candidate in your book of business or your prospect book of business? You know, I'm telling you right now, Social Security gets me a lot of business. Knowing Social Security claiming. If you don't know it, you should. If you don't know it, when we're done here, mark yes. I can give you some ideas from a reading standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. But I'll tell you right now, Social Security makes up about half of the income of 50% of the Americans. Is that wild? And if you don't know social, I just got a $500,000 deal. I proposed on it. The reason they came to me is because they asked their person. It was with Edward Jones. He didn't know anything about Social Security, and all of a sudden, they got a Social Security postcard in the mail for me, or an invite to come to a seminar, and we just proposed on $500,000. They actually have $1.4 million of investable assets, $2.2 million of net worth. It's a very good prospect, qualified as all get out, legitimate. Hopefully I'll know here in the next week or week and a half whether that goes through, but I think there's a very, very good chance it can, but it all kind of came around from really understanding Social Security. I want to go back on this real quick. Also, from a good candidate, cannot afford to pay the income taxes due on the conversion from from other assets. If they can't do that, then they're not really a good candidate. You know, if they're expected to be in a lower tax bracket, they're not a good candidate. You know, they need access to their funds. They're not going to be a good candidate. So there's certainly people who are not good candidates. So, myth or truth? A conversion may be great for young people who have many years before they retire, but it doesn't make sense for older individuals. Well, we just talked about that. You know, from an inheritance standpoint, it's tax-free. It's tax-free. So as we're getting down to the very, very end on those, I love to say this. It says, procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. Tomorrow. You know what? Tomorrow never comes, does it? If you heard something today that you thought, hey, you know, I'll talk to Dave Pimper about that. I should really know more about that, maybe coached up on that, get some insight, maybe getting from more qualified prospects. Yeah, you know what? Roth Conversions is pretty unique. And most advisors don't do a lot of them, and most of them don't bring up. Right now, I think personally tax brackets are about as low as they're going to get because of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The brackets have lowered. There's a bigger standard deduction. It's not going to be around forever. Sunsets, unless Congress does change it. If a Democratic Congress got in, it could be changed. It won't with a Republican, most likely, but it could with Democratic. So you never know with politics. But I think it probably will stay into the mid-2020s. In 2025, it does sunset out. Everything but the corporate income tax. So if you heard something here, take action. Steve, I'd like you to go in and put the poll on up if you've got that. And the poll basically is if you want more information just mark yes. And IAMS will call you. IAMS will call and to go on in and see if we can answer those questions for you, get you on the right track. Maybe that might lead for you talking with me personally. But the big thing here is I like to educate reps, educate advisors and agents, because education, knowledge really is power. And that's why with the IAMS educational series of webinars that we're giving, there's a lot of other ones. We have them on every Tuesday at this time, 10 a.m. Central Time. But the big thing is we're trying to help you to become better agents. Now, just education alone will not make you financially more successful. You've got to take that education and you've got to turn it into appointments, which turns into a second or third appointment, which turns into writing business, which is good for the client and good for you because that's how you're compensated. Steve, as they're kind of looking at this, if they want some more information on Roth Conversions, is there any questions that popped up that maybe we can answer?
Yeah, I think there are a few if you've got a few minutes, Dave. I know your schedule's tight with your webinar or your seminar tonight, but let's just have a quick look. Do you have a rate Roth conversion pitch as a standalone seminar or part of your retirement income planning seminar or Social Security seminar? So do you talk about Roth conversions in depth during any of your other seminars or on your radio show?
The 401k IRA rollover seminar, we certainly do. I don't on the Social Security workshops that I do, which have been very successful because we're not trying to sell other things. We tell them we certainly do financial planning, but our expertise is really retirement planning. And there's a difference between them. One is more of accumulation stage, one is more of a preservation and income stage. That's the wheelhouse, that pre-retired and retired. So, but the 401k, yeah, we go into depth. It's one of the kind of the bigger areas. We have a 3 or 4 slide circuit that we walk through on that. On radio, we do a radio show. We put it together. IAMS is the backbone of that from a financial standpoint. We put together, it's called Retirement Boss Radio, Take Charge of Your Money. It's trademarked. We've got offices, we got radio shows going in Omaha, Nebraska, in Orlando, in Stockton, California, Reno. We just looked at Phoenix. I talked to a fellow this morning that has been shopping around with different FMOs, and he's listened to 2 others, and he really, really likes ours as far as the content and the mix and kind of the turnkey. But what happens is that, yes, I talk about Roth or Roth conversions, not on every show, but I would say every other show I make a point because it certainly is a good area. It's good substance to bring up that most people, it's kind of fuzzy. They don't know the exacting rules of Roth and Roth conversions, what they could do. But once they hear of how it may be able to help them from a taxation standpoint, it perks their ears up, and now we've got their attention.
Perfect. So yeah, there are a couple other ones. Does the eMoney? Do you use eMoney, Dave?
I do. I do use eMoney, both on aggregation and the financial planning software too.
Okay. So Mike had a question, which is basically, does eMoney calculate the Roth conversion cost benefit?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, good.
They have a calculator. Yep.
Is there a way to stretch the taxes across a few years on a Roth conversion?
No, there's not. It's a good question. They used to. Remember, Steve, about 6-7 years ago, you could stretch it out over 3 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that was only, they did that for a couple, 2-3 years. Yeah, no, they don't do that now. So it's all done in 1 year. But you know what? As I said in the workshop before, you can manually do that. It isn't a rule, but you know what? If you've got 30,000 and if you're on January, February, it might be a different matter if you want to Roth convert them. But if you're in October, November, early December, you want to Roth convert 30. Now, I had a sod farmer that in Nebraska, and because of this big flood, he's going to have a loss on part of his sod. And so what happens is he came on in, he said, I'm going to show a loss this year. He's going to show about a $30,000, $40,000 loss. He normally shows a gain of over 100,000, but he's going to have a loss this year. And he said, I'm coming on in and seeing, is there something we can do from a taxation? I said, baby, I know him well. And we're going to go on. We're going to go on in. We're taking your conventional investments, and we're going to go in and we're going to convert them. And you know what? Some of those we actually did move over, so they came out of the investment. But some of them we did a like kind. We had some investments where in fixed index where we went on in and say we took $30,000. I think it was 30 or 35,000, and we didn't actually take it out of that investment. It just came from a conventional and went into the Roth. So he gets a 1099 on taxation for that, but so we didn't have to sell out of that. So you can actually cash it and then Roth convert it, or not all, but many times you can Roth convert. Steve, with fixed index, I think there's some companies will do it and some will not, or do most do a like kind exchange just with a Roth conversion benefit in there?
I think most of them will do a like kind exchange. So
yeah. You know, in the old days, some of them did not.
Yeah,
but I think that But you know what? You know why, Steve? They're doing it now because if they're about to lose money,
they want to keep it. Yep.
They want to keep it. You darn right. So
there's no cost.
So is there a 2 or 3 year rule now? No, but you can convert it over a couple years or partial convert over longer, like 100,000 over 10 years. We've certainly done a lot of that.
Yep. So Tom just wanted to compliment you. He said a great webinar, a lot of sales opportunities there, which I agree with that. And then.
Did you pay him to say that, Steve?
Well, I didn't, but you may have.
No, I didn't. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate the compliment.
And Marty had a question about radio. You know what, Marty, if you will check yes on that poll, and Dave, we'll make the follow-up call, and we'll just have Dave call you about the radio stuff, because there are definitely some opportunities there. His question was about availability, and so
okay,
some markets are better than others for sure.
Hey, you know, Stephen, again, and this is not a radio webinar, but I will tell you, Steve, since I tested this for 6 or 7 months with the help of IAMS, and we went on in and we tweaked it and we got it so it's a turnkey system. It's called Retirement Boss Radio. It's an hour show looking at the pre-retired and retired crowd. But Steve, I mean, of all the marketing that we've done, and I've coached now for 13 years, but it's exciting about how many people that are coming on board and that are really like the idea of the chance of getting in front of qualified prospects. And this is not the radio show, but it is exciting, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. The quality of prospects that our guys have been seeing, and everybody thinks radio is complicated, and you've really got it turnkey down to pretty simple stuff for folks, and so you can get your credibility. And I think people listening in on webinars like this, or where you talk about RMDs or Roth conversions or 401k or the opportunities to qualified markets, there's a lot of great fodder in there for ways to, during a radio show, you can say some things that people say, hey, I need to know more about that. Social Security? I mean, what? Everybody is, the people who are concerned about Social Security is just a hugely growing mass of folks. And if you can advertise your expertise over the radio, man, it's a great, I've been very, very pleasantly surprised by the results. So congratulations on putting together a good program.
No, it's a good team. Yeah. So, but I'm going to go, good. I will convert back, no pun intended, to Roth conversions. What happens is you're bringing up a subject that is fuzzy for most of the public, and what you're trying to take is that fuzz out of it, make it more specific, can it help them? It doesn't always, but lots of times Roth conversions. I'll tell you right now, I have more not Roth conversion per se, but Roth IRAs come in than traditional IRAs. It used to be in the old days, they didn't even know what an IRA was. I mean, I remember right when we started doing IRAs back in the early 80s, the most you could put in was $1,500. And of course, both people had to be working. Now, just one of the spouses has to work, and you can put up to, $6,500, or maybe it's six, maybe I think it's six, maybe it's 7,000 this year with the 1,000 top up. So there's just a lot more money you can go on and put into the IRA, and when you're looking at tax-free and conversions, because there's so much more traditional money out there. If you don't have an expertise within this arena, you should, and that's why you're on the webinar today, is to get a little more information. So certainly, poll is still up. If you want more information specifically, or from radio. Because we talked a little bit about radio, a little bit about radio marketing. We'd love for you to mark yes, and if it's radio, certainly we'll talk to me. But of course, we'll talk to one of the IAMS folks, and we'll be more than happy to help you, give you some insight.
Yep, it's great stuff as always. I think that pretty well. There are 6 or 8 more questions that we haven't specifically answered their questions, but I think we've answered most about taxation of Roth IRAs and how that works. That was an interesting story about your sod farmer. I never really thought about that. In years where people have losses, which there could have been some of that in 18, even in the markets. I mean, there's a way to kind of do a free conversion, right? In a way.
Well, we did. Well, you know what happened? He thinks from a CPA, and I got this. Well, again, it was an accountant, but okay, he was a tax guy, and so he thinks that the loss is going to. He's going to go from 110,000 last year of making to about 50,000 loss of this year. He still has some FEMA money coming on in, and some. But you know what happens is 50,000 loss, and they file jointly. There's 24,000 plus of standard deduction. So all of a sudden now you come up 50, 60, 70, 75, and you know what? So and he doesn't mind paying on some. He had about 175,000 traditional. I think we took about $100,000 and went on in, and there's going to be very little taxation on it. You know what we call that in Nebraska? Smart retirement planning.
There you go. Yep. Yeah. I used to have a slide that said, there's nobody. I mean, we all, in the U.S. pay taxes, but we don't have to pay more than our share, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Yeah. The rule says you got to pay the taxes, but you know what? There's rules on taxation, and you know what? And absolutely, I am for every legal way to pay less taxes. I know that there's politicians out there that they want us. They said we should be paying more taxes, pay our fair share. I tell you what, I think we pay between income taxes, property taxes, gas tax. Look at your phone bill sometime. Look at your cable bill. Who knows where those taxes come? We're taxed excessively. So if there's a legal way to reduce taxes, let's do it.
Yep. There's a question here from a gentleman named Dennis that I don't necessarily understand. Dennis, I'm going to call you after, and we'll make sure we understand what that question is, and we can get Dave to answer it if necessary, okay? And so with that, I'm going to close that poll out. There's a few that didn't vote. I call you bashful folks. There's no reason not to vote on these polls, but we will get in touch with each of you that has additional questions and try and get those answered for you. Appreciate you taking some time out of your schedules today, Dave. Appreciate your time as well. I know you've got a full plate with your Social Security seminar tonight. Whatever we can do here to help you at IAMS, to help you grow your business, we're here for you. That's what we want to do. We know your success is our success as well, and when you do well, that's good for us. So any way that we can help you, we want to do that. Appreciate you taking some time to join us to learn a little bit more about ways to help your client. You're exactly the people that we want to work with, people that are looking for ways to be a better value to their clients, or the people that can, in the end, be most successful in this business. So let us know how we can help you, and we will be in touch with you very soon. Dave, is there anything that you want to add before we close out?
No, well, not really. Just thank you very much for taking your time. I mean, when you're in the sales profession like we are, time is money. So coming on out to something like a webinar like this, I hope that you can go away and say, hey, that 45 or 50 minutes that I invested to listen to that was well worth it. We can help you in any way. Certainly, maybe you marked yes, but certainly give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to give you insight to hopefully increase your production.
Perfect. Thank you, David. Thank you again for everybody coming. Have a great finish to your sales week.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.